The story begins by introducing a man named Chan Maidong who has a cold and calm demeanor. Maidong works as a mortician, which makes him even more withdrawn from social life, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. On the other hand, there is a cheerful and enthusiastic woman named Zhuangji. Despite her upbeat nature, Zhuangji has had a very painful past, as she lost one of her legs in an accident. Not only that, but Zhuangji also lost her father when she was young. However, Zhuangji overcame her grief and proved that she could conquer anything despite her limitations. One day, Zhuangji returned to her hometown to recuperate after undergoing surgery. Unexpectedly, Zhuangji saw someone who looked familiar to her. Upon approaching him, she realized that the man was Maidong, her childhood friend from school. However, the cold-hearted Maidong ignored Zhuangji, who was trying to reconnect, and left her behind. Not long after, fate brought them together again, but only Zhuangji was always enthusiastic about their meetings. During one of these moments, it turned out that Zhuangji had already met and gotten to know Maidong's grandmother, which surprised and somewhat annoyed him. Additionally, Zhuangji's cheerfulness and enthusiasm made his grandmother very fond of her, making them appear very close despite just having met. Maidong, who was already uncomfortable with Zhuangji's presence, was further shocked when his grandmother enthusiastically tried to set him up with Zhuangji. However, Maidong revealed a harsh truth about Zhuangji's condition of not having one of her legs. Hearing this, Maidong's grandmother looked very shocked and stopped talking. What she heard from Maidong led her to consider the fate of Zhuangji and Maidong. She hoped that they could be together despite Zhuangji's condition. Fortunately, her hope seemed to be in her favor. Elsewhere, feeling tired of his job, Maidong decided to visit his friends, where they always gathered at one of their houses. At that moment, they relieved their stress from their respective busy lives, and among his friends, Maidong was the only one without a partner. At the same time, the matchmaking between Maidong and Zhuangji arranged by his grandmother quickly spread in their village, and Maidong was not happy when he heard his friends joking about it. On the other hand, Zhuangji appeared to be in pain with her leg while walking, so she decided to rest. Shortly after, Maidong was seen passing by on his motorcycle. Seeing Zhuangji's condition, he offered to take her back home. At that moment, Maidong was very surprised that Zhuangji, who used to be a quiet person, had changed 180 degrees, and he became worried when he was near the fearless Zhuangji. Meanwhile, Zhuangji still has loved ones, especially her younger siblings who always support her decisions. Despite having different fathers, they always get along and share joy and sorrow, with Zhuangji always protecting and providing for her siblings. Although she lost her biological father, now Zhuangji has a complete and happy family. Even though she never called her new father Dad, she is very grateful for her current father. One day, Maidong's grandmother visited Zhuangji's house, where she was very enthusiastic upon seeing childhood photos of Maidong. Not long after, Maidong returned and was very surprised to find Zhuangji at his home. It turned out that the matchmaking by Maidong's grandmother was warmly welcomed by Zhuangji, who had already had feelings for him since they were in school together. Although he seemed indifferent, it turned out that Maidong accepted the matchmaking pressures from his grandmother. Not wanting to be obvious, Maidong always made excuses when meeting Zhuangji. With her innocent demeanor, Zhuangji managed to make Maidong smile, and eventually, they became engrossed in pleasant conversations and laughed heartily. The next day, Zhuangji decided to return to the city and was accompanied by her father, though she called him uncle. Despite this, she highly respected and was grateful to her uncle for taking care of and loving her family. Upon arriving at the station, Zhuangji was surprised to find Maidong waiting for her. Seeing this, Zhuangji was very happy with his presence. Although he did not admit it, his actions spoke louder than his words. Maidong's behavior confused Zhuangji, but she did not want to dwell on it. After seeing Zhuangji off on the train, Maidong turned and left. As he was about to leave, Zhuangji suddenly called out to Maidong and walked toward him. Hearing this, he was puzzled and asked if Zhuangji was going to follow him, but she immediately grabbed Maidong and kissed him. After returning from dropping off Zhuangji, Maidong noticed people around him giving him strange looks. Apparently, his closeness with Zhuangji on the train spread quickly, making them a topic of conversation, as Maidong had never behaved like that, especially not in public. Not long after, Maidong received a notification on his phone that shocked him, seeing his picture with Zhuangji displayed clearly and becoming public gossip. Seeing this, my dong was very angry and upset, but there was nothing he could do. Meanwhile, Zhuangji still remembered her bold action of kissing my dong in public. The same was true for my dong, who, like Zhuangji, was reflecting on the incident. Apart from that, Zhuangji always shared her problems with her friend, including her romantic issues, being very open about her private life with others. Not long after living in the city, Zhuangji had to return with very painful news, as Zhuangji had to face the bitter reality of losing her father, whom she had always called uncle. At the same time, my dong was busy handling the body of Zhuangji's father. The accident that Zhuangji's father experienced had left him unrecognizable, so my dong tried to restore his face to its original appearance. Although deeply mourning, Zhuangji's mother remained strong in facing her reality, as she stayed by her husband's side, who lay lifeless. Meanwhile, Zhuangji tried to console her siblings, who were struggling to accept their father's passing. Despite being very sad, she endeavored to be strong and resilient so that her siblings could cope. Shortly after finishing his tasks, my dong tried to meet Zhuangji, who seemed unable to hold back her grief when she was alone. My dong then approached Zhuangji and tried to comfort her. After their father's passing, it was the biggest shock for Zhuangji's younger sister, who decided to run away from home and intended to meet Zhuangji in the city. However, Zhuangji's younger sister encountered my dong first, so he contacted Zhuangji and met her. When they met, Zhuangji was very angry with her sister's actions, but was also concerned about her sister's condition, who had just lost their father. Once the family's situation had stabilized, they bid their final farewell to their father by scattering his ashes at the edge of a beautiful hill. Afterward, Zhuangji decided to stay longer to support her family and help her mother, who now ran the family shop alone. One day, Zhuangji planned to visit my dong at his workplace, but instead, she encountered a fierce argument among the relatives of a deceased person being handled by my dong. The altercation left my dong injured, and Zhuangji could not stand by and watch as he bled. However, as she was about to intervene, my dong stopped Zhuangji. After this incident, their relationship grew closer, although there was still no clarity. Zhuangji's courage continued to soften my dong. Sometime later, Zhuangji's ex-boyfriend wanted to rekindle their relationship as it was before, traveling a long way to her hometown just to meet her. Although she welcomed her ex-boyfriend, who was also her former boss, Zhuangji no longer had feelings for him and intended to turn him down politely. During their meeting, my dong called Zhuangji, wanting to meet her to give her some herbal medicine. Hearing this, Zhuangji informed him of her location, and he went to see her immediately. Upon arriving at the place, my dong was shocked to see a man sitting with Zhuangji. After that, he just handed over the medicine and immediately left Zhuangji. Frustrated by the situation, my dong decided to visit his friends. At that moment, my dong seemed confused about his situation as he did not have a clear relationship status. During this time, an old friend came along, provoking a quarrel, which caused my dong's emotions to boil over, leading to a fierce fight. The next day, my dong still harbored unclear anger toward Zhuangji. Despite this, Zhuangji went to my dong to apologize for her actions. At that moment, my dong seemed dissatisfied with the explanation given by Zhuangji and firmly questioned their relationship. However, my dong's words offended Zhuangji, who decided to leave in anger. But just as she stepped out the door, my dong forcefully pulled her back inside. The next morning, while getting ready to go to work with his colleague, my dong stopped by Zhuangji's shop. Although my dong didn't get out of his car, his gaze never left Zhuangji. Similarly, Zhuangji kept looking at my dong even though she was very busy with her shop's affairs. Shortly after, during a work visit, my dong accidentally saw Zhuangji escorting her ex-boyfriend to the train station. Initially, he didn't care, but after giving it some thought, he went to approach Zhuangji, who was already on the train. At that moment, my dong witnessed Zhuangji being forcibly handled by her ex-boyfriend, so he quickly went over and pulled Zhuangji away from there. Afterward, my dong and Zhuangji had an argument, leading Zhuangji to decide to leave. However, my dong didn't let her go and immediately embraced her, which eventually led to my dong and Zhuangji kissing. Following that romantic incident, both my dong and Zhuangji felt awkward and shy around each other. After this, their relationship became more defined, bringing them even closer. Whenever they had the chance, they visited each other, and this time, Zhuangji visited my dong at his grandmother's house. Upon arrival, Zhuangji was already being affectionate with my dong, but he seemed worried about something. Despite this, my dong still responded to Zhuangji and also warned her not to regret her decision. Shortly after, a woman emerged from my dong's house. It turned out to be my dong's mother, who had come to visit his grandmother. Realizing this, Zhuangji was startled and hid behind my dong. Sometime later, acknowledging that they were no longer young, my dong intended to express his desire to live together with Zhuangji. My dong then visited a matchmaker to discuss the future of their relationship with Zhuangji's mother through this person. During the discussion, the matchmaker mentioned that Zhuangji's mother did not want to have a relationship with my dong's family. Although disappointed, my dong seemed to accept it. After having no news for a while, Zhuangji went to meet my dong and only then learned about the issue he was facing. However, Zhuangji was confused by my dong's attitude towards her, as he never directly asked her about it. My dong then explained that he was just a village boy who was not on the same level as Zhuangji, who lived in the city, and thus he requested to end the relationship. Hearing that, Zhuangji became angry and hurriedly left my dong. Realizing his mistake, my dong followed Zhuangji, who was already crying in the middle of the road. After consoling her, they got back together. At the same time, the affection displayed by my dong and Zhuangji in public was witnessed by Zhuangji's mother. When she wanted to stop them, she was immediately stopped by her friend. This incident even made Zhuangji's mother ill, and she had to receive treatment in the hospital. Although my dong was known as a good and dutiful man, Zhuangji's mother could not accept him because she particularly disliked my dong's job as a mortician. Not long after, the situation became more complicated, and for the first time, Zhuangji and her mother had a heated argument. The lack of understanding and consent from Zhuangji's mother caused them to disagree, and to forget about her problems, Zhuangji went to meet my dong, who was already at the annual celebration in their town. During the celebration, they tried to mingle with the crowd and didn't hesitate to show their affection in public. However, when Zhuangji was intentionally jostled by a man, she attacked him, but my dong stopped her by embracing her. Shortly after, my dong took Zhuangji to her apartment where they talked for a while and had a minor argument. Suddenly, Zhuangji stood up and turned off the lights, then approached and sat on my dong's lap, leading to an intimate moment. However, Zhuangji was still thinking about her mother's words regarding her inadequacies in maintaining a relationship. She became very aggressive, and my dong simply went along with her desires until he almost touched her leg. Meanwhile, Zhuangji continued to be haunted by her mother's words until she realized that my dong was about to touch her leg, causing Zhuangji to unconsciously say something that offended my dong. After that, she left my dong. A few days passed, and Zhuangji realized her mistake and went to apologize to my dong. However, my dong was already hurt by her words that doubted his love. Because of that, they ended up going their separate ways. Shortly after, Zhuangji fainted, shocking my dong, who immediately helped her. On the other hand, Zhuangji's condition improved her relationship with her mother. Although her mother still did not approve of her relationship with my dong, but she still believed Zhuangji, with her newfound maturity, was able to set aside their differences. Shortly afterward, my dong visited Zhuangji to ask for clarification, and their relationship returned to how it was. But Zhuangji said that she was not yet ready to show her leg condition to a man, as she feared that if the man saw her leg, he would decide to leave her. Hearing this, my dong approached Zhuangji and apologized. The next day, my dong met Zhuangji, who was working at her shop, and they continued their relationship despite not having her mother's blessing. Despite the challenges, they gradually enjoyed their sweet moments together. Since their relationship improved, my dong allowed Zhuangji to stay at his apartment, where he took care of all Zhuangji's needs. As he was about to leave Zhuangji to go to work, Zhuangji suddenly held my dong back. However, my dong still left, leaving Zhuangji alone in his apartment. During the journey, Zhuangji suddenly called my dong and shared the story of her life journey after losing one of her legs. During that time, many people underestimated her while she went through her difficult period. But with the support of her family, Zhuangji managed to prove that her disability could not stop her from achieving something valuable. Zhuangji even expressed her fear of being in a relationship with someone. My dong listened attentively to Zhuangji's heartfelt confession and tried to comfort her. After that, she asked him to come back, and without hesitation, my dong decided to return. Upon returning, Zhuangji didn't realize my Dong's presence near her, as he chose not to wake her. When Zhuangji woke up, without her realizing, my Dong wanted to fit her with a prosthetic leg. However, Zhuangji refused because she was still hesitant to show her condition to anyone, including my Dong. Nevertheless, my Dong managed to persuade Zhuangji and carefully touched her. Seeing my Dong's sincere actions softened Zhuangji's heart, leading her to approach my Dong and kiss him. Not long after, Zhuangji and my Dong began to muster the courage to show their relationship to Zhuangji's mother, revealing that they had spent the night together. Upon learning this, Zhuangji's mother couldn't do anything to stop them. Meanwhile, my Dong's grandmother, who had been supportive of their relationship from the beginning, was very happy and grateful to see their happiness. After that, my Dong and Zhuangji were always affectionate wherever they were. Even when Zhuangji's younger brother came out of the gate and suggested they go inside and be affectionate there instead. Hearing that, they were surprised and stopped their affection, and my Dong excused himself to leave. But since her mother was not home, Zhuangji persuaded my Dong to come inside. However, Zhuangji's younger brother became very uncomfortable after witnessing her behavior. After that, my Dong agreed and for the first time set foot in Zhuangji's house. Although her mother was not there, my Dong remained cautious as Zhuangji's younger brother continued to watch him closely during his stay. Not long after, Zhuangji's mother returned and saw a motorcycle in front of her house. From inside the house, she heard a lot of noise. It turned out that my Dong and Zhuangji's siblings were busy preparing a series of words for their celebration. After that, she entered the house and saw my Dong. When he wanted to greet her, Zhuangji's mother just walked in without a word, so Zhuangji tried to calm my Dong. Afterward, Zhuangji approached her mother and tried to persuade her to meet with my Dong. Although she didn't show outright rejection, Zhuangji's mother never approved of her daughter relationship. At that moment, my Dong approached Zhuangji's mother to ease the already awkward situation, where he apologized to Zhuangji's mother for visiting without prior notice. After that, my Dong decided to say goodbye and leave. Upon hearing this, Zhuangji's mother stopped my Dong from leaving because she had prepared some fruit for him. Seeing her mother's behavior, Zhuangji just stood there quietly, smiling. It turned out that my Dong was able to soften the heart of Zhuangji's mother to approve his relationship with Zhuangji. However, Zhuangji's mother had already closed her heart and did not give him a chance before getting to know him. At that time, Zhuangji and her siblings were surprised to see their mother change and become comfortable and relaxed while talking with my Dong. Apparently, my Dong's experience in dealing with people through his work made it easy for him to win over Zhuangji's mother. Since he frequently visited Zhuangji's home, my Dong had become like a part of the family, with Zhuangji's mother no longer objecting to their relationship. A few days later, my Dong was seen handling a multi-vehicle collision case, leaving him without rest for 2 days. During a break, Zhuangji visited my Dong, who was already exhausted. Despite his fatigue, my Dong was very happy to see Zhuangji by his side, but he still felt uneasy. Lately, my Dong had been having recurring dreams about Zhuangji, which worried him. Knowing this, Zhuangji tried to comfort him about the dreams. When they met again, my Dong expressed his fears, and while embracing, Zhuangji asked what was troubling him. He then explained that before he was with Zhuangji, he rarely had such emotions. Previously, my Dong was calm because he did not expect anything and was not afraid of anything. But now, he feared growing old alone and lonely. Hearing this, Zhuangji tried to reassure him. Meanwhile, the younger sister of my Dong's grandmother was in the hospital, and the hospital staff called my Dong to come to the hospital immediately. As he was about to leave, Zhuangji returned to my Dong's apartment, remembering his recent fears, and decided to fully surrender herself to my Dong because she had finally gathered the courage to reveal her vulnerabilities. While my Dong was taking care of his grandmother's younger sister, Zhuangji stayed with and encouraged my Dong's grandmother, who was very saddened by her sister's condition. Back with my Dong, who had to face the worst-case scenario at the hospital. Although he had prepared himself, my Dong was still unable to cope with the reality. The same was true for my Dong's grandmother, who was deeply affected by the passing of her younger sister. The news reached Zhuangji's mother, who promptly visited my Dong's grandmother to offer her condolences. At that time, my Dong's grandmother was too grief-stricken to respond to her. After that, my Dong spent the night with Zhuangji at his apartment. In the morning, my Dong's grandmother suddenly visited the apartment, and my Dong, who had just woken up, was shocked to see his angry grandmother. Even though she approved of their relationship, my Dong's grandmother did not want their relationship to exceed appropriate boundaries, especially since they were not married. At that moment, Zhuangji woke up hearing the commotion and came out to find my Dong being scolded by his grandmother. Seeing the situation, Zhuangji realized that it was not my Dong's fault and joined him in apologizing as he had already knelt down. Due to their actions, my Dong's grandmother insisted on a more committed relationship, and Zhuangji suggested getting engaged first. Eventually, my Dong's grandmother agreed to the suggestion. Initially, my Dong was reluctant because it seemed rushed, but he eventually agreed. Not long after, news of their engagement spread quickly throughout the city and Zhuangji was seen happily showing off her engagement ring. After that, they had a simple engagement ceremony attended by their beloved family members from both sides. Although they were engaged, Zhuangji still felt worried because the engagement was merely to bind my Dong to her. At the same time, Zhuangji had to leave the city for an indefinite period due to her job, and she had prepared herself for all the risks that would come with her decision. Soon after, at the station, my Dong was seen approaching from a distance, full of excitement, but he was unaware of Zhuangji's decision. Seeing my Dong exhausted from running, Zhuangji tried to hold his hand. However, my Dong brushed her hand away and demanded to know why she was at the station. At that moment, Zhuangji explained that she had to leave for work and couldn't say when she would return. Hearing this, my Dong sighed deeply, feeling disappointed. Seeing this, Zhuangji apologized for her decision, but my Dong could not accept it and decided to leave without her. However, Zhuangji held him back and continued to explain her decision. In response to her insistence, my Dong suddenly demanded that she return the engagement ring. Hearing this, Zhuangji refused, and eventually, my Dong forcefully tried to remove the ring. In the struggle, Zhuangji ended up causing my Dong's nose to bleed, and my Dong decided to leave her. During his journey, my Dong felt angry and deeply hurt by Zhuangji's decision. Meanwhile, Zhuangji continued on her journey, leaving my Dong alone. Since then, my Dong decided not to mention Zhuangji's name in front of him. Hearing this, my Dong's grandmother could not do much because she knew that Zhuangji was wrong for leaving my Dong so abruptly. Likewise, Zhuangji's family never brought up her name in front of him. After 6 months, my Dong took Zhuangji's younger brother to the city. It turned out that Zhuangji and her brother had collaborated to arrange an encounter with my Dong, where she pretended to accidentally run into him. Knowing this, my Dong immediately turned away from Zhuangji and got into his car. Just as he got in, Zhuangji also got into his car because she no longer cared about his indifferent attitude towards her. At that moment, Zhuangji tried to get close to my Dong to soften him and win him back. Zhuangji kept approaching my Dong and told him how much she missed him. However, my Dong still did not respond to Zhuangji, who was making a great effort to apologize. Zhuangji then explained that her return was due to an opportunity to develop the city, meaning that she could be there with my Dong again. Despite this, my Dong remained unresponsive to Zhuangji. After that, her family members were also still angry about Zhuangji's decision to leave. Even her younger sister commented that my Dong had changed significantly from his appearance to his attitude, and that he might already have someone else. Hearing this, Zhuangji was very upset and immediately left her mother and sister. Unable to tolerate her sister's remarks, Zhuangji quickly went to see my Dong at his grandmother's house. At the same time, after coming out of the bathroom, my Dong was very surprised to see Zhuangji in his room, and they ended up arguing there. Finally, Zhuangji decided to leave my Dong, appearing confused and lost. She was filled with regret and fear of being abandoned by my Dong. Crying, Zhuangji called her best friend and asked for advice. At that moment, her friend encouraged her to keep fighting for their love. The next day, Zhuangji decided to return to the city, this time accompanied by my Dong. At that moment, my Dong saw the sincerity in Zhuangji's heart and decided to forgive her. Hearing this, my Dong immediately reached out and held Zhuangji's hand. During the journey, my Dong told her that he had never doubted Zhuangji's love, and they said their goodbyes. For some time, they maintained a long-distance relationship. Despite the distance, their bond seemed to grow stronger. In her busy schedule, Zhuangji often went on business trips. However, this time her journey was very dangerous, and she almost got into a car accident, which left her very shocked and frightened. Meanwhile, my Dong went to the city for training. During a serious training session, he glimpsed a corpse with a ring on its hand that looked like Zhuang Ji's. My Dong approached and carefully examined the body. At that moment, he was extremely terrified upon seeing the ring and felt a great sense of relief when he identified the body. After that, he ran and called Zhuang Ji. Meanwhile, Zhuang Ji was still busy dealing with the near accident that had almost happened to her, and she didn't pick up her phone, which had been ringing for a while with calls from my Dong. Still in shock and trembling with fear, Zhuang Ji finally answered the call from my Dong. Upon hearing her voice, the worried my Dong asked about Zhuang Ji's whereabouts and immediately went to meet her. Shortly after, they finally met at the city station. During the reunion, they relieved their longing and worries for each other, ultimately bringing them back together. Moral lesson from the story: even if you have a calm job like a mortician and a complicated love life, remember that sometimes a surprise kiss on a train can solve most of your problems. Just don't try it on strangers.